I'm Joe. Welcome to the premiere episode of Next Level Bullshit. I'd like to thank all our beta viewers for your comments, suggestions, and patience while we worked out some of our early kinks and glitches. Many of you commented that you hoped we would not show any bias, that all bullshit everywhere would be fair game. Well, be careful what you wish for, because we're calling bullshit on some of you. There's some atheists out there making some pretty bonehead remarks about Islam. To them, radical Islam is the root of Muslim rage, and there's a lot of followers singing their chorus. Well, they're bullshitting you. The Suicide Terrorism Database at Flinders University in Australia tracked all Mideast suicide bombings between 1981 and 2006. They have concluded that nearly 95% of all suicide bombings were motivated by politics, not religion. These findings are supported by the University of Chicago's Project on Security and Terrorism. They examined more than 2,200 suicide attacks around the world from 1980 to present. Their conclusion was that nearly 90% of all suicide attacks were politically motivated. Now, before you rail on about liberal agendas of universities, the Chicago University study was funded by the Defense Department Threat Reduction Agency. They wanted to conclude Islam was the threat. But the numbers tell a different story. Fuck yeah, science. Robert Pape, co-author of the study and author of Dying to Win, The Strategic Logic of Suicide Terrorism, specifically rejects the notion that Islam is the root of terrorism violence. He says, rather, the taproot is American military policy, and that the West's proclivity to force Muslim societies to transform is likely to dramatically increase the threat we face. But this doesn't track with the bullshit spewed by liberal atheist pundits like Marr, Dawkins, and Harris. In stunning complicity with conservative Christian pundits like O'Reilly, Hannity, and Limbaugh, they all want to prop up the scary Muslim boogeyman terrorist screaming Allah Akbar as they push the buttons on their suicide vests. Nothing but bullshit Islamophobia, designed to keep you from thinking about the geopolitical ramifications that's at the root of all this. Our Western governments. Let's take a walk down bullshit lane in history, shall we? Remember the Ottoman Empire? It collapsed as a result of World War I, and the people living there expected independence. But the British noticed they didn't have a flag. No flag, no country. So, Britain, the US, and France carved up artificially created nations with no regard to culture, history, or ethnicity. Instead, the lines on the map were intended to optimize profits from the oil fields. It's a powder keg created by Western greed, but they can't have you thinking about that. So, fear the radical Muslim fundamentalist with bomb-making skills. Classic deflection. So, all you assholes pandering to this cover-up by perpetuating bogus Islamophobia? You're next level bullshit. The topic of our next story has given us a chuckle from time to time. Freeman on the land, or sovereign citizens. These oddballs claim that all statute law is contractual, and as a result is applicable only if an individual consents to be governed by it. They believe that they can declare themselves independent of government jurisdiction, holding that only true law is their interpretation of the term common law. One of these freemen recently shut down a throughway ramp, presumably for us unfree people. In Wisconsin, a sheriff stopped a motorcyclist, Ralph Rinkjob, for having an expired license plate. When the deputy asked him why he didn't have a license, he allegedly told the officer that he didn't need one because he didn't have a contract. Rinkjob refused the officer's request, stated that he was a free person and that the officer was his servant, and that he was in fact arresting the officer. Well, that didn't go over so well, as not long after that, he was figuring out how to make bail. Despite consistently failing with their freeman strategies, these people keep trying to dodge simple traffic laws, debt, taxes, squatting on private property, and even creating their own ID cards. Adding a new layer to this pile of idiotic dung is the federal government, labeling freemen on the land, or sovereign citizens, as domestic terrorist group. They're not terrorists. They're just crazy. Well, mix a little Kentucky bourbon, some guns, stock car racing, we'll sprinkle in a little bit of crazy and a little bit of Taylor Swift. Anything can happen. Now, I'm all for tossing a finger at the man whenever possible, but sovereign citizens or Freeman, you're doing it wrong. You're extreme bullshit, but keep it up. This is great entertainment. They say history belongs to the victorious. Lately, though, that's bullshit. It belongs to idiots with agendas. Meet Joy Mazoff, an author with no pedigree in historical studies. She wrote Our Virginia, Past and Present, a textbook now used in Virginia schools since 2010. In it, she writes, thousands of Southern blacks fought in Confederate ranks and used this known fake photo, which is actually a photo of black Union soldiers. State historians, even those sympathetic to the Confederacy, were appalled at this outright lie. Mainstream historians laugh at such claims, but since it positions the Confederate cause as noble, this bit of confirmation bias remains in Virginia textbooks. This bullshit isn't limited to local yahoos with an agenda. The feds are in on it too. The curriculum framework from the U.S. History Advanced Placement Test, which helps teachers prepare students, has become a left-right battleground. Conservative lawmakers in Tennessee contend that it forces U.S. high school teachers to push a leftist agenda through a liberal interpretation of historical facts. Indeed, the framework does significantly downplay the Founding Fathers and the Declaration of Independence. It portrays early settlers in a negative light. It scales back American involvement in World War II. It also limits American involvement in the development of and victory in the Cold War. It also omits all discussion of major American military battles and commanders. Not to mention, it also omits a study of the Holocaust, and no longer mentions icons Albert Einstein, Jonas Salk, and other key but controversial figures. While the AP has suddenly released a sample exam intended to calm some of these fears, many aren't convinced. It's the first time important components of history have been removed from the AP history framework. Politicians, stay out of education. Educators, check your bias at the door. This shit's important. You both get extreme bullshit. Before we sail off into the stinking sunset of Bullshit Hill, here are a few tidbits to think about. Why did the Ferguson, Missouri police think it would be a good community PR to fingerprint all the kids? Why did the Indiana State Court rule that it's illegal for citizens to resist illegal police entry into their home? Why did this LA Times reporter collude with the CIA on stories about national security? And why is Drew Carey turned into the old guy from Up? We got bullshit like this spilling out all over the place. Well, sorry, Drew, you're not bullshit. We just thought it was funny. But be sure to look out for our next episode in 2 days, where we cover a 9/11 topic you won't expect. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter, YouTube, and watch all our shows on nextlevelbullshit.com. And coming soon to Locker Dome. So, thank you atheists, Christians, sovereign citizens, and politicians for all that bullshit. We'll see you again in 2 days.